Welcome to Act Out. I'm Eleanor Goldfield, and this is your tipping point, and it's cold as hell. Getting straight to it this week, though, let's check out the DC uprising against TPP on the front lines. Last week, Popular Resistance organized a series of incredible events surrounding the TPP, from blockades to rallies to marches and even a cozy bonfire. Which sounds really good right now. The goal was to raise awareness for and opposition against this corporate calamity, as well as to show solidarity with other nations who are currently battling the paid-off pawns at the top of the global political food chain. On Monday, activists started bright and early by blocking the U.S. Trade Rep's office in D.C. In late afternoon, a good-sized crowd gathered outside the corporate headquarters of the Chamber of Commerce, aka Corporate America's Plaything. A little side note here, in 2012, the U.S. Chamber spent $35 million on the presidential election, which they happily announced after putting their full weight behind Citizens United, the proverbial floodgate, if you will, for buying elections. And speaking of which, since 1998, they've spent more than $1 billion in lobbying. And where'd that money come from? Well, see, the thing is, the Chamber of Commerce, or COC, let's just call them COC. The COC doesn't have to show where they get their money from. Their donors enjoy total anonymity. The only reason that we know of any is because of the work of the CPA, the Center for Political Accountability. And through their work, we know of 24 companies that funneled money into COC, like companies like Dow Chemical, Prudential, Exelon, CVS, Pepsi, and more. And of the 24 that disclosed, 23 are Fortune 500 companies. Yeah, COC, you guys are all about small businesses, aren't you? Anyway, we'll talk more about the Chamber of Commerce's long history of assholery some other time. But for now, back to TPP. Needless to say, the Chamber supports it, even though the TPP would essentially gut everything from workers' rights to minimum wage to healthcare, etc., etc., etc. And if you need a recap, check out the TPP slideshow from week 36. At the rally last Monday, several activists stood on the steps to speak about how their lives would suffer due to this trade deal. Sahara Heckscher shared her story of living with cancer and her reason for fighting the TPP due to a clause that would delay medicines, not to mention astronomically jack up the prices. Herman Wenge spoke about the impact of international trade deals on countries like his own, West Papua, home to the largest gold mine in the world, and with it, militarization, mass murder, and slave labor. Even Michael Moore showed up to talk about how NAFTA wrecked his hometown of Flint, Michigan, and indeed how, in comparison to TPP, NAFTA is like nothing. Small, very small. Thoroughly inspired by these activists and their stories, the rally then moved on, marching from the chamber through K Street, the lobbying epicenter of D.C., carrying signs, banners, banging drums, holding up luminaries, singing, chanting, and handing out information cards to passers-by, printed on toilet paper. On Tuesday, activists gathered at the DuPont Circle to kick off an embassy tour, visiting some of the embassies of countries both included in the TPP and whose people will be horribly affected by this agreement. Coming up, take a look at some of the images and video that we captured from these events, and stay tuned for more via Flush the TPP.